Over 40% of paramedics report witnessing something on shift they cannot explain, and most of them never tell a single soul. So what happens when the person you're rushing to save has already been dead for 3 years? When the call comes in before anyone dialed? When the body in the road is too calm, too still, too placed? These are the stories they don't put in the incident report. And tonight, you're hearing all of them. She had no pulse, no ID, no medical bracelet, no emergency contact tucked into a wallet or sewn into a jacket lining. Nothing. Just a young woman lying in the middle of Black Hollow Road at 2:17 in the morning, arms flat at her sides, eyes closed, like she'd simply decided to lie down in the fog and wait. That's what unsettled me more than anything. Not the stillness, not the cold. It was the position. People who collapse in the road, they fall, they crumple, they end up twisted, wrong, like the body didn't get a say in how it landed. This woman looked deranged. My name is Ethan. I've worked night shift paramedics for 14 years. I've seen things that don't make the incident report. Things I've told myself were exhaustion, low blood sugar, the particular cruelty of 3 a.m. when your mind starts filling in the gaps with whatever it's most afraid of. I'm good at talking myself out of things, but I couldn't talk myself out of that night. It started as a routine call. That's always how it starts, isn't it? Marcus patched it through at 2:09. Deep voice, like gravel over asphalt, never hurried. Unit 7, we've got an unresponsive female, Black Hollow Road, B1147, approximately 2 miles past the Crestfield turning. No caller ID on the report. Call came in and dropped. Sarah was already pulling on her gloves. She was like that. Always half a step ahead, always watching. No caller ID, she said. Marcus came back after a pause. Line was dead before dispatch could confirm. We're sending you on best information. Sarah looked at me. Neither of us said anything. You learn, in this job, to file things in a drawer and deal with them later. We pulled out of the station and into the dark. Black Hollow Road is a nothing stretch of countryside between 2 villages that nobody visits. Crestfield on one side, and on the other, a cluster of old stone houses called Dunmore that most maps don't bother labeling anymore. It cuts through flat farmland, no streetlights, no white lines in places. In fog, it's the kind of road that makes you feel like you're driving into something rather than along it. The headlights found her about 90 seconds after we turned off the B road. She was in the middle of the lane, young, mid-20s maybe, dark hair fanned out behind her, gray coat, no bag, no shoes. Sarah was out of the vehicle before I'd fully stopped. I followed. Cold air came at me immediately, that wet rural cold that gets into your chest, and I noticed the fog wasn't moving the way fog should. It was sitting thick and low, completely still, like it was holding its breath. No pulse. I checked twice. Sarah checked once. She was breathing, barely, shallow. But her heart wasn't beating in any rhythm I recognized. Her skin was cold, but not gray. Her eyes were closed, and her expression was, and I know this sounds wrong, calm, almost peaceful. She walked here, Sarah said quietly. How do you know? She pointed her torch at the woman's bare feet. They were clean. No mud, no cuts from walking across gravel in the dark, like she'd been set down. I radioed Marcus. We've got the female Black Hollow Road, unresponsive, breathing, no cardiac rhythm I can make sense of. We're transporting to Crestfield General. Marcus came back. Copy, Unit 7. Be advised, we're getting something strange on records. Stand by. I didn't like the pause that followed. Marcus didn't do pauses. What kind of strange? Sarah asked. Another pause. Then, I'll update you en route. We loaded her into the back. Sarah rode with her. I drove, and for the first 2 miles, everything was procedure, vitals, airway, communication, until Sarah's voice came through the divider with a tone I hadn't heard from her before. Ethan, her phone. What about it? It was in her coat pocket. It's lit up. Screen's on. Check for an emergency contact. Silence for a moment. Ethan. Her voice had changed. The last call on this phone. It was made tonight at 2:07. 2 minutes before Marcus sent us the call. So, someone used her phone to call it in. Good. That helps us. The number she called, Sarah said slowly. It's the station number. But the call duration was 0 seconds. It didn't connect. I looked in the rearview mirror at the fog closing behind us. So, how did dispatch get the call? Neither of us answered that. Crestfield General at 2:40 a.m. is a different place than during the day. Corridors half lit. A porter moving somewhere in the distance. The particular smell of hospitals at night. Disinfectant, and something older underneath it. Something you don't want to name. Dr. Evelyn Cross met us at the bay. She always seemed to be there when we brought in the impossible cases, and I'd stopped questioning it. She was in her 50s, precise, with gray hair pulled back, and a look that said she had already processed every worst-case scenario and was simply waiting for you to catch up. She looked at the woman on the gurney, then at me, then back at the woman. Name? She asked. Unknown. No. ID. Dr. Cross was quiet for a moment in a way that felt like it had weight. I'll need you both to wait, she said. Not a request. We sat in the relatives' corridor for 20 minutes. Sarah was looking at the phone, the woman's phone, and I was watching the double doors at the end of the corridor, where 2 nurses had gone in quickly and not come back out. It's ringing again, Sarah said. I looked. Screen lit up. No caller ID. Sarah answered it before I could stop her, held it up so I could hear. Static. Then breathing. Then a voice. Calm, male, unhurried. It said, "She's been there before. You need to go back to the road." And the line went dead. I knew that voice. I still know it now, and it still makes me cold to think about it. It was my voice. Dr. Cross came out through the double doors 9 minutes later. She stood in front of us, and she said, very quietly, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer me honestly." "All right," I said. "Where exactly on Black Hollow Road did you find her?" Sarah described the position, 2 miles past the Crestfield turning, near the old field gate, where the hedge dips low on the left side. Dr. Cross didn't write anything down. She looked at the floor for a moment. "Her name is Emily Carter," she said. "She's 24 years old. She was registered at this hospital." She looked up. "She died here 3 years ago. Cardiac arrest following a road traffic collision. She was pronounced at 2:17 a.m. The corridor was very quiet. "That's the exact time we found her," Sarah said. "I know," said Dr. Cross. "What's in that room?" I asked. Dr. Cross looked at the double doors. "She's stable, completely stable. Cardiac rhythm normal. No sign of injury, no sign of—" She stopped. "I don't have an explanation for you tonight, Ethan. What I have is a patient who is breathing and alive, and who I have no record of beyond 3 years ago." I drove back to Black Hollow Road at 4 a.m. I don't know why. I told Sarah to stay at the hospital, that I was going back for a scene check, which is sometimes required. She knew I was lying and she let me go anyway. The fog was still there, completely still, the same as before, like no time had passed. I pulled over near the field gate, got out, left the lights on. My breath made clouds in the cold air. There was a woman standing at the edge of the headlights, old, small, wrapped in a dark coat. She was watching me without moving. I walked toward her slowly, and she didn't step back. When I got close enough, I could see she was in her 80s at least, with white hair and eyes that caught the ambulance light. "You found her, then," the woman said. Her name, I found out later, was Martha Green. She lived in one of the stone houses at the Dunmore end of the road. "You know her?" I asked. "I know the road," she said. "I've been watching them bring her in for, a long time now. Different drivers, different vehicles, always the same spot, always the same time." She looked past me at the ambulance. "She always ends up back there by morning." I felt the cold settle into something deeper. "What do you mean she ends up back there?" Martha looked at me with something I can only describe as patience, not pity, just patience. "They never find the car," she said. "The original car, from the accident. It went into the ditch, and they pulled her out and drove her to hospital, but nobody ever recovered the vehicle." She glanced at the hedge. "It's still in there. I can hear it sometimes. The radio, still playing." I looked at the hedge. "The collision happened at 2:17, Martha said. 3 years ago. She was alone. Nobody called it in for 11 minutes. She paused. She was alive for those 11 minutes. She was lying in the road. Alone." I couldn't speak. "I think she's still trying to get someone to come sooner," Martha said softly. "Every time. She calls it in earlier and earlier." She looked at me. "Tonight was the first time someone came before 2:17. The fog shifted. For the first time all night, it moved. "Did it help?" I asked. Martha didn't answer. She was looking past me at the road behind my ambulance. I turned around. The ambulance lights were off. The engine was off. And standing behind the vehicle, just visible at the edge of where the light had been, was a young woman in a gray coat, barefoot, looking at me. She was smiling. Just slightly. Like something had finally gone right. When I turned back to ask Martha what I was supposed to do next, she was gone. Emily Carter was discharged from Crestfield General 2 days later. No memory of the accident. No memory of the road. Dr. Cross filed the paperwork under unknown cardiac event, and I watched her walk out of the hospital with a borrowed pair of shoes and no explanation. And I thought, that's it. It's over. Something finished. Something healed. I believed that for almost 3 weeks. Then Marcus patched through a call on a Tuesday night. 2:09 a.m., unresponsive female, Black Hollow Road. No caller ID, and as I reached for the radio to respond, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message. No contact name. No number. Just 4 words. She wasn't the last. If you made it to the end, don't drive Black Hollow Road after midnight. And if your radio picks up a call that dispatch never logged, don't answer it. Some rescues run on a loop, and some loops don't have a way out.